baby. All right, sorry, 1 minute. Okay, we are still in the baby stage. Just as I said earlier, we started a few months ago. That should be around August. And with the vision that we have, there are stages to the vision that we have. Currently, we are actually at the first stage. We are moving towards the second stage, actually, which will be discussed later in this meeting. But first, the first stage we are on now is the stage where we share opportunities on a WhatsApp page. We have a big community already, and we share opportunities on a daily basis with people. And there have been different testimonies from participants, I mean, from members of the page, and there have been different testimonies coming from there. The second stage is the community development, which is already going on. Yeah, it's going on already, but more details will be provided later during this meeting. And also the third stage, which I'll be talking briefly, is the stage where we will be given sponsorship to members of our community. Of course, as I said earlier, the full details to this will be provided later on. So now for this month, being the first meeting for the month, we have our seasoned speaker for the month already in our midst, in the name of Professor Busui. He will be giving from his well of knowledge, of depth about the topic we'll be having tonight. Yeah, it's night already. It depends on where you're connecting from. So shortly I'll be introducing our admins and the major executives of the Bank of Opportunities. My name, as I said earlier, my name is Adirunke. I'm the project coordinator, and we have Mr. Bankole Akinfolari, who is the founder. Can we see you, sir? So let's introduce ourselves. Mr. Bankole, can we have you on the screen? Oh yeah, here he is. He is the founder, the pioneer of the Vision Bank of Opportunities, and we have Mr. Segun Awodele. Can we have you on, sir? Mr. Segun Awodele.
I'm on.
All right. Okay, yes, here he is. Mr. Segun Awodele is the media manager and also the on-ground on-ground team lead. Because as I said, this is something that, I mean, lots of restructuring and things like that. So he is the one coordinating anything that has to do with the on-ground activities. And that, I mean, this is who we are. We are just starting off, and we believe that very soon, we believe in the project, and in the space of some few months, we are going to be growing great. So thank you very much. Yeah, before I hand over to Mr. Akinfolari, as will be taking us further. By the end of this meeting, I'll be calling on any of the participants to give like a vote of thanks. So anybody can be called upon. So I want everyone to prepare for that. Yeah, so it's going to be a kind of participatory meeting. So I need you to prepare for that because anybody will be called upon. So right now I'll be calling on Mr. Akinfolari as will be taking us further. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Adirunke. Thank you very much for that. I'm really very much excited to be here today. And as a community, we're also very much excited to be here. And everyone is welcome to this first official capacity building training we'll be having in 2024 as a community, though we had one last week, but it was for one of our projects. But this one is for the community as a whole. Okay. And it gives me great joy to introduce our panelists in the house. Is someone that I know personally, and you know, it's such a rare privilege. I must say, such a rare privilege to have him in our midst today. He's a very busy person. You know, when you acknowledge the fact that there comes a time when you begin to create time to give back to the society. You know, that is when the journey of legacy setting begins, actually. And I can tell you, our panelist has been someone who has been giving back to the society for years. And what it means is he's been building some legacies over time, over the years. I know him personally. He's an amazing person. There was a phrase that I was using to address him some years back, like over 10 years ago now. I said too iconic to be a professor. So I use that phrase to always address him. It's too iconic to be a professor. You know what that means when professor is not actually just a name that can contain what the person embodies. So it's just that being a professor is just something infinitesimal. It's not a name that embodies the load of strength and the capacity in this individual we are talking about. Professor Dr. Busuyi Mekusi is a professor of African literature, and he currently lectures at the Adekunle Ajayi University in Akungba Akoko. And is also an alumnus of University of Witwatersrand. That was where he acquired his PhD. And he's also a writer and a literary critic. And at the same time, he's a political analyst. So he's a man of many parts. It gives us great joy to have this amazing personality in our midst today. Just to introduce Professor in our midst tonight. And I can tell you, you will testify to exactly what I'm talking about by the time he begins his session. So, you are most welcome, Prof. Thank you for honoring our invite and the sacrifice to be here. I know your schedule, sir. We understand your schedule. And we thank you for making out this time. It is never going to be taken for granted. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir. As part of your commitment also to support our vision, to support the community. We appreciate this. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. So, moving to the next part of this meeting before our panelist comes up. So, I want to encourage everyone, this is the era when opportunities are flying all around, but it's not about how many opportunities fly around, it's about how many of them you are actually taking advantage of. That's what matters. It is about how many of them you are taking advantage of. And I would like to say this, that life does not owe you anything, but just one thing. Life does not owe you anything, but just one thing, and that is opportunity. Okay? So life owes everyone opportunity. That's all. And that is why we call it an opportunity indeed, because it is not always available. If it is always available, then we don't have to call it an opportunity. So it means it will always be available. We can always get it. And opportunities good enough are time bound. So it means that there is a time frame attached to opportunities. And that's why life is in phases. There are seasons. Life is captured in the capsules of time. Different shades, different times, seasons, and eras. So this is a phase. This is a particular time now that is being invested. There are opportunities you'll be getting from here. Then the question is, how are you going to take advantage of these opportunities for your profits? That's what matters. So this is an opportunity indeed. This platform is an opportunity, but what will you make out of the opportunity you get from this platform today? That's what matters, actually. So it's not about whether opportunities are available or not. Opportunities will always be available. But the point is, what are you going to make out of the opportunities available? Okay? What are you going to make out of those opportunities? That's what matters. So, that being said, just to encourage everyone tonight, we'll be moving very straight to some of the projects we have. as part of our commitment to the community, we are very much passionate as an organization to give back to society. There are a couple of things that we have highlighted that, has a way of, coming in to give back to the society as an organization. And we have structured them as projects. So each of these things, they are pretty much like problem areas in the society, and each of these problems constitute a body of projects that we have. Okay. And you might want to wonder, you might want to be thinking about okay, who is behind the sponsoring and all that. We are just starting out. We are barely less than a year old. We started mid last year. That should be around July. So it's just less than a year, and God is helping us. We have a couple of things we have achieved, and of course that we are set to achieve also. And that leads us to some of the projects we have at hand as an organization, which you need to be aware of. Okay. So currently we have 6 projects in the community. So these are some of the ways in which you can benefit from the community. Okay. We have 6 projects currently in the community, and the first one is the BASFI scholarship. So BASFI is a scholarship foundation within the Bank of Opportunities organization that has 2 arms. So the first arm is for education, and the second one is for tech skills. Okay. So the education part of BASFI is, as it has been designed to help individuals who cannot afford to do certain things as far as education and academics is concerned. Maybe they cannot pay their tuition, they cannot afford to cater for their living expenses, maybe stationery in school, maybe transport, feeding, accommodation. So everything around education, the scholarship covers that, either full or partial. So that's for education. Then for tech skills, we understand very much the greatness of tech in our world today and also in the future. So this is obviously, we can't shy away from the fact that tech rules the world. So we are also very much interested in sponsoring individuals who have that passion and the seriousness to pursue a tech career. Okay. But they don't have the finance to pick up a tech skill through a tech company. There are a lot of tech organizations offering tech trainings at different times. Okay. But some individuals have the passion. We're not just looking for individuals who have passion alone, but people who have the dedication, the commitment, they are decided. This is what they want to do. Okay. So such individuals, we also pick them up and then we sponsor them on a specific tech skill. We have partnership with one of them, and some other ones are coming also, that we enroll them and then they go through any of the tech skills available there. And that will be a kind of empowerment for them. After acquiring the tech skill, then it can seek a tech job opportunity in that particular field in any part of the world, not even Nigeria, any part of the world. There are a lot of countries today that are looking for tech guys all across the nations of the earth. And I can tell you, there are a whole lot of opportunities in tech. A whole lot. Do you know that it is possible to be doing three or four jobs remotely as a tech guy or as a tech lady? You can be doing 3 or 4 jobs remotely, okay? And you are earning some good amount. I mean, really good amount. And there are a lot of countries. In fact, there is this newsletter I saw on LinkedIn just this morning, and talking about the greatness of I mean, the fact that there are different countries looking for tech, tech guys all across all across different parts of the world and all that. So just to, just to identify the fact that tech is not something that we don't want to invest in, because we understand the greatness that lie ahead, actually, as far as tech is concerned. So we want to sponsor those who have it at heart, those who have the interest, and also those who have the commitment to pull through. And then that becomes a career for them. That settles them. We also have the BEF, that's Business Empowerment Scheme. So the fund is expected to set up serious-minded individuals who are not working for obvious reasons. Of course, there will be strict interviews as far as all these things are concerned, series of different stages of interviews. Okay, so that someone will not just say he doesn't have a job and then he comes to apply for BEF. Okay, so those who are interested in starting a business, and not just any kind of business, a business that is scalable, a business that is obviously going to work, and you have business plan that is workable. Okay, so that's BEF. Then we also have the LRF. LRF is Landmark Rescue Fund, which is a one-time rescue fund to sponsor individuals who are at major crossroads of life. These individuals are the people that if there's no rescue for them at that particular point in time, it's going to affect the next phase of their life. So, for instance, someone who needs to graduate from school, but he can't write his final exam because he can't pay his tuition. So there has to be rescue for that individual. Okay. Or someone who has been hospitalized for quite some time, has been treated, and now he can't be discharged from the hospital because he has not been able to clear the medical bills yet. Then he continues to stay at the hospital and incur more expenses. There are a lot of people like that on hospital beds. Okay, so it covers different things. When it comes to rescue, it's just a one-time fund that individual enjoys, just to step in and help them move from where they are to the next phase of life. So that is the essence of the Landmark Rescue. We also have the THDS, that's Talent Harvest and Development Scheme, and it has two arms. There is the education part, and there is a non-academic or skills and talents parts. Okay, so these projects, the first part, which is the education, takes care of individuals who are sound. They are at genius level. They are first-class individuals. They are first-class minded people, but they don't have the finances. They don't have the support to pull through school. In fact, some of them even drop out eventually. So we help such people to get back to school. So we help such people get fully funded scholarships. So this one particularly, what we do to help them is to look for, there are a lot of scholarships that we are aware of, academic merit-based scholarships, okay? So we help them get that fitted scholarship for them, academic merit-based scholarship, and then we apply, we help them to run through the whole process for free. We do all of that for them for free until they get a scholarship, the admission, visa process, until they travel, such individuals. So that is what the education part is meant for. Then there are also some people that they are not interested in education. In fact, they dropped out of school, not because of finance, but because they feel they can't cope with education. They just can't cope in the class. Of course, we are aware of different people that have made it big in life today, that dropped out of school, not because there was no money. Some of them, of course, because there was no money, but because the passion they have for the potential in them is driving them beyond the four walls of classroom. So they really can't, put things together as far as what is being taught in the four walls of the classroom is concerned. It doesn't really make sense to them. What is making sense to them is that potential, is that skill, is that talent they want to explore. They have a business idea, so there are individuals like that. Okay, so that is the non-academic part. So such individuals, we also help them. There are some people that they just have high for fashion. Okay, I'm not talking of dressing, but I'm talking of as a fashion designer, for instance. It's not as if they've been to any fashion school. They just know how to cut, what to cut, and how they just have that design. It's like it's an innate thing. It's like it was divinely implanted in them. They just know, they just understand. So there are fashion designers that learns it. There are fashion designers that it is inbuilt, it is innate within them. So such individuals are the people we are talking about. That innate potential that is not related to education. Such people, this project is for them. Okay. And then the final one is PDT, personal development track. Absolutely helps and paces individuals who are interested in developing themselves in different facets of life. We help them with our structure and different assessment modes. It's a lifelong training, and we have a WhatsApp group for that also, that we take people through personal developments at different levels. Last week had a speaker come speak on the platform to the members of that project on specifically time management. It was very, very resourceful, very impactful. So you can check that on our YouTube channel if you want to catch up with that training. Okay. Very, very resourceful and very impactful. I personally learned a lot in that session also. So in brief, those are the 5 projects we have at hand as a community. And this is just like a tip, actually. There are still many more things. So just to give you a brief of what we are out there to do. It's a great vision, and we want as many partnerships and support as possible from individuals and organizations. And it will also interest you to know that we have someone who has won the Buzzfight Scholarship this year. The process started late last year, but eventually she was awarded the scholarship this year. So, and it was it's a the kind of scholarship when you have a challenge that is impeding with your growth and your progress, then there has to be a kind of rescue. There has to be a kind of support. That's what scholarships are actually meant for. Scholarships are not meant for individuals who are lazing around. Scholarships are not meant for people who don't have something serious they really want to do. Okay. But these are individuals who are focused, but it's just finance that is creating some sort of turbulence as far as their journey in life is concerned. Okay. So a beneficiary, someone has benefited from that scholarship already, and we award certificates to the individual also as a kind of proof, and it's a kind of official recognition of the award, as it were, also. So we have the individual in our midst also. So when it is time for the presentation of the certificates, so Prof will be presenting the certificate to the individual at the end of the training. So when it is time for that, the beneficiary will come up. Prof will graciously help to present the certificate to the person. So we are doing this now before the training, so that we have all this covered, and then we settle down into the training. So taking it further, we also want to extend hands of support and they give back to the society by calling for, we want to sponsor individuals for the West African Senior School Certificate exam, and also UTME for this year. I think it's currently opened. So we want to sponsor individuals who are not able to register for these 2 exams. Okay, we want to sponsor them. So the registration link is there. People can register, they can apply. And then we access the applications, and then people pull through based on the requirements and interviews that will happen. Then they proceed to win this scholarship also. So it's under the Buzzfight. That's Bankole Akinfolari Scholarship for youth. So if you know individuals who fall in that category, but specifically we are particular about members of the book community first. We are starting from the community, from within the community. So that's also like a kind of give back to the members of the community who trusted us well enough to start with us. Okay, so it's like compensating them for believing in the vision from the beginning. Okay, not everybody can believe in your vision from the beginning. Some will chicken out when they don't have personal advantage, personal benefits as expected, so they pull out. While few individuals will always support your vision, even if it doesn't benefit them directly. Few individuals do that. So as a means of giving back to such individuals also. So this particular offer is specifically, we will give priority consideration to members of the community, those who are already registered members. So in case you want to register, it's not too late anyway. So at the other part of the training, the latter part of this training, you will get to know how to be a member, how you can register and all that. It's free. We charge nobody for anything. And this is also an announcement. If anybody comes to you and charge a dime on the name of Boo, please raise an alarm. It is scam. We don't charge nobody for anything. All we do is free. Okay, all we do is free. This is an NGO. All we do is free. Okay, so we charge no one. Okay, and then the next one is also learn a tech skill with Utiva. So it's still under the Bursary scholarship. So we want to sponsor an individual also under that project. Okay, so any individual who wants that can also apply. So the applications will be reviewed. So these are the three sponsorships we are rolling out at this time. So individuals who are qualified can apply immediately. Okay. So we'll move to the training tonight. This is what we have been waiting for. The hour has come. And we are so excited to be welcoming an amazing personality that we have introduced, and we can't retire. We can't just finish introducing, and we can't also be tired of introducing in the person of Professor Dr. Busui Mekusi. Is the Professor of African Literature at the Nigerian University of Akoko, and also is also the former HASU chairman. Okay, former HASU chairman, and I could remember, the struggles he fought, for students and all that. It's not the kind of lecturer you would think about. It's not the kind of lecturer it's not the kind of ASU member you think about. It's somebody who is always on the side of the people, on the side of the masses, on the side of what is right. Anything that is right, you'll find him there. I'm not talking to flatter him. This is somebody I know personally. And these are some of the attributes that I feel leaders in the society should also have. These are some of the attributes that leaders should, especially in Africa, should have. Not being self-centered, thinking about people, being people-centric instead of personal affairs, people-centric, people-centered. So I can tell you specifically that Professor Dr. Busui Mekusi is someone like that. He has the art, and that's why it can be. He can sacrifice his time to be here today. Obviously, we are not paying him actually. So because even if we want to pay him, how much are we going to pay him to be here? He's a very busy person. So we appreciate that. So it's still a part of the fact that he's people-centric. That's why he accepted this invitation to be here today. So we appreciate that very much, sir. Thank you very much, Prof. And it gives me great joy to welcome in our midst today, as we kick off with this training, Professor Dr. Busui Mekusi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Bankole. Can you see me from that end now?
Yes, sir. We can see you clearly, sir.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your kind words. Let me welcome all the participants. Thank you, Bank, for opportunities for having me. Let me quickly add that please, as much as I want you to believe what Bankole said, He said he wasn't going to flatter me, but he succeeded in doing that. But the fact remains that Bankole is a friend and brother, and I've chosen to be here tonight as part of my deliberate identification with its vision and with the vision of Backup for Opportunities. I'll be following him on the different media. He's been trying to also reach out to members of the global community. So let me thank you for what you are doing, and thank members of your team. Thank you, Adurinke. Thank you, Oluwasegun. And thank you once again, everybody. My assignment is very simple. Very simple in the sense that he has almost done a greater part of the training by placing the opportunities that are out there. And particularly the opportunities is creating for the community. As much as we live in a global space, as much as we have opportunities flying all around, like he also said, it is one thing for you to be confronted with the opportunities. It's another thing for you to be the opportunities come your way. I'm going to tell you my own story before I go ahead to make my presentation. I have a friend, Professor Samuel Shenayon Olaoluwa, who is the director at the Center for African Studies at the University of Ibadan. The last time I read about him, I was on a visitation to University of Oxford, United Kingdom. He's very pathetic. He moves around like a nomad, which somebody like us wouldn't want to do. I met Shenayon Olaoluwa at a master's degree years at the University of Ibadan. I was already a graduate assistant, then teaching in the university. And I met him because he was one of the cool-headed people around. Some of them were very boisterous. Boisterous in that they want to do some things apart from eating amala at Jericho and enjoying other things which I wouldn't want to go into. But I was always a very focused person. And I chose him as a friend. I haven't packed books that I took from one of my mentor, who is now late, Dr. Zede Adejumo, who was then the head of my department and where I was working. And so we got close. And after the program, by his grace, God was gracious to us. I finished with a PhD grade, but I couldn't start my PhD immediately because there was nobody to supervise my PhD. The lecturer who supervised my master's program had gone to Abuja to pick up a political appointment. Nigerian teachers are always looking for how to live a better life. Things were not this popular, even though we had the brain drain. The jackpot syndrome wasn't as endemic as we have it now. I think this is a new phase of brain drain. It's not only teachers that are being drained, but everything good out. Sorry, please. I believe everybody should be muted apart from the speaker. Sorry for that interruption. The host should do something about this. So, like I was saying, after the master's program, I departed and lost touch with my friend, and I was still struggling with how to push ahead with my PhD. And at that point, the man that was to be my supervisor had returned to the University of Ibadan, and we started. And at that time also, the internet had not been liberalized. If you needed to use the internet, you have to go to where they call cyber cafe in Nigeria. Okay, being also a restless person, I was visiting a cafe about 3 times a week to check my emails and also download some stuff. And I remember one day I just went to the cafe and I felt I should send my friend Shenayon an email message. And I just asked after him, and I was just being jocular. And the last line I put there, or maybe you are no longer in Nigeria. Apparently, I was joking because everything about him did not show that he could have had the opportunity of traveling out of the country. So when I returned, I was a company of other friend of mine, other brother of mine who incidentally is the University of Glasgow, United Kingdom at the moment for his own PhD program. I was shocked, rudely shocked. By the time I returned to check my mail about 2 days after, the first thing he said was, yes, I'm now in South Africa running my PhD. And I congratulated him. Before then, I had wanted to write, to research into post-apartheid South African drama. And I was looking for somebody who could help me buy post-apartheid play text. So, and I said, good to hear that, my friend Shinayo, that I will need you to help me buy some play text to use for my PhD research. By the time he replied, he said, look, why talking about play text? Why don't you consider coming over? And I was saying, I'll come over. Before then, I had opportunities of securing admission to universities in Canada and USA, but then fund would be the problem. But my friend just said, look, why don't you consider coming over? I said, look, how do you mean? And that was how the story started. But ladies and gentlemen, interestingly, 6 months after, I got my visa to South Africa. And when I told him I got visa, he said, yes, you should start coming over. I said, how do you mean? He said, get whatever you have and just come over. And I did that. You know, we are very religious. But I was not just religious, but I had faith. And I jumped on the plane, gathered everything I could gather, and I left. Good enough, I secured a leave of study leave with pay so that my family, my wife, and 2 kids could still live a decent life after decided to go on academic exile, educational exile, you know. To shock you, when I got to South Africa, my friend came to pick me at Tambo Airport, Johannesburg. And when we got to an accommodation, he told me, my friend, you're welcome back. And you're welcome. And I thank him very profusely. And he shocked me. And he said, look, this accommodation belongs to somebody that actually I do not have my own accommodation. But this man is a Malawian who has traveled for the annual break, and he has allowed him to use his accommodation, but that he was shocked. And I couldn't imagine somebody that lived under that circumstance. And I began to rebuke him why he decided to bring me to come and suffer just because he had a bitter experience of life outside Nigeria. But he quickly allayed my fear that I was going to get some scholarship and bursary, and that he had, when he decided to come, he didn't have enough information, but now he's making good information available because he invited me. So why am I telling you this? Why have I told you this story? It's just to buttress the fact that information, like Bankole said earlier, is very vital. Information could be available, but information could also be hoarded. Information could be everywhere. I've just told you the story. I needed somebody to help me buy play text. The person also was a Nigerian, or is a Nigerian, you know, but he was dragging his foot. But there was somebody who I wanted just nothing but play text from, but who insisted I should come to South Africa. By his grace, I was able to run my PhD for 3 years, 3 months, even though I wanted to do it in 3 years. But my supervisor was just asking me almost all the time, Mekusi, why are you in a hurry? And I couldn't answer the question up to tomorrow. So I've made up my mind to always tell the story of Shinayo Ilaoluwa, who did not hoard information, who made opportunities available to me. Incidentally, the year I joined him, two other brothers of his also joined him. One other person in mass communication, the other one, pharmacy. The guy who came in for pharmacy is a professor in the United States of America. As I'm talking to you, his Pius Far Senu, something like that. So sorry to bother you. I like telling stories because stories is everything we live for. Our Ekata today will soon become a story. So I don't know if the host will allow me to share the little thing I have here so that I can proceed with my presentation. Thank you. Yes, I'm to speak on let's go back. Sorry. To navigating Nigerian and foreign education prospects, problems, and panaceas. I was wondering why Bankole wanted me to do a juxtaposition of the unfortunate situation we have at this end and the opportunities that are out there. But unfortunately, we can't but talk about it because that is simply some of the realities we live with. Yes, and I try to look at the prospects and the problems of Nigerian education. We know that Nigeria was a colonized nation and still a post-colony. And for those of us in criticism, we normally talk about post-colonial realities and the relation to post-colonial theory. And if we look at our education, we saw the imprints of colonialism, how we had something we could consider as a robust form of education. And later we talked about independence. And there was also the need for manpower development for national growth and industrialization. This is not to bother you about what the essence of colonialism was, which was nothing but an attempt to poach for materials and human resources. And unfortunately, like I said, then it was forceful removal. But now we are the ones spending money to move to the north. To the northern part of the hemisphere. And after there was the need for independence, there was the need to develop people in careers, people who could take over from colonial masters. And I remember somebody telling a story of how he became an admin officer and was posted to the United Kingdom, London to be specific, to recruit for people to recruit Nigerians who had traveled to train themselves for the proper takeover from colonialists. We shouldn't forget that education could be formal and informal. There are so many things I'm trying to just keep because I take them to be some of the things we are familiar with. And after independence, we had what we call the period of disillusionment. I don't know whether Nigeria is still not disillusioned. We are still disillusioned. And if not for disillusionment, people will not be selling their houses and looking for opportunities. As a matter of fact, if you ask me whether I'm disillusioned, I'm not sure I will answer that question because I'm still on this side of the divide. Okay, but people relate to issues several ways. Okay, after independence, the issue of corruption, military takeover, post-colonial disillusionment, like I said. But where am I going to? There was systematic bastardization of institutions. And one of those institutions was education. Was education. And I remember that there was specific onslaught carried out on education when lecturers were accused of teaching what they were not paid to teach. Okay, the season of brain drain, when some of these lecturers felt they couldn't continue and they had to move. And the implications of that was that there were issues, issues in relation to not just survivor, but in relation to what even the government could do, Yes, apart from that, we could talk about specific problems peculiar to Nigerian education. We've spoken about this, the issue of the abstraction of our curriculum. As a teacher, I've been struggling with how we get detached from the framework for education and our need. Basically, education is meant to develop the people, to solve societal problems, to ensure growth and development, technological, scientific, etc., etc. I remember in 2009, I visited a university in Barrie, Canada, and I saw a new vehicle that was simply bifurcated, apparently for the purpose of practical assessment and teaching. And I asked myself, if it were to be in Nigeria, we will be theorizing and we'll be doing things in abstraction. I do tell my people, for instance, that I'm not sure that any of them have ever seen amoeba before. Yeah, they were taught amoeba in biology. We talk about poor funding. As I'm still talking to you, politicians will always talk about the 26% UNESCO benchmark. I can't remember what the benchmark, what the percentage is this year, but it has been abysmal. And Tinubu's government is trying to shift now from the idea of lack of funding to talk about the fact that they will be giving loans to students, as if the students will be able to pay back this loan automatically, or everybody will be able to access the loan automatically. But I don't want to go into that. I'm not here to do analysis of some of these programs. We also have unstable academic calendar and different reasons for this. Thank heaven that Bankole mentioned the fact that I belong to ASU. Yes, I led ASU in my branch, and ASU has had reasons to close down the universities, public university, for so long, and the union has been blamed for this. If we ask me today, maybe I want to regret ever participating. This is not to suggest that what ASU did was wrong, but it was because ASU had been having a conversation with the deaf. And I don't know whether the approach of Tinubu will help resolve that. Even when ASU's struggle led to the creation of an organization called TED Fund, which is meant to intervene in our programs. Do you know what politicians also did? Politicians just went to the money that accrued to this office to begin to set up new public universities, up to a point that ASU felt that the government has turned establishment of universities to nothing but constituency projects. The last count, I think we now have about 260-something universities, and they are still creating. So if you're a politician, one of the things you can do to let your people know that you are representing them well is to bring a university. There is what we call student riot, student protest. I mean, students just protest, how they protest down, quote and unquote. I mean, there are different reasons why this happened. There is the issue of lack of access by reason of lack of or inadequate space. There is also the issue of tokenism and quota system. If you are from the southern part of the country, you are disadvantaged by reason of you coming from there. But if you go up north, things are better. The up you go, as you go up north, things are becoming cooler because lesser benchmarks that will give you space. But unfortunately, people don't want to venture from south to north because of so many reasons. Poor infrastructure, classroom, inadequate classroom, empty laboratory, lack of good library. I never knew what having a good library could do. Let me say this. As a master's student at the University of Ibadan, I will buy airtime in a cyber cafe, and my airtime will roll for 2 hours just because I wanted to download a document, and I won't be able to accomplish that. I will leave for my hostel frustrated. But thank heaven that things are better now. I'm talking from my own library. You know, internet has been liberalized, and I must tell you that people in this generation are luckier than we had. But let me say this: when I got to South Africa, I was pleasantly surprised that I could have an office as a PhD student. Internet connectivity assured. My system connected to a printer. If I needed to print anything, I would just send it to a printer. I pick it up. In my room, if I decide not to leave my room, or at a point, I had access to the internet. I could just move from my bed to my table, and if I'm tired, go back to my bed. I said, look, what a dignifying life. I mean, talking about access to library, apart from the library database for the university that I have access to, electronic materials, I can go to the physical library as a PhD student, take about 15 to 20 books on loan. And if there are books I need and they are not available, I will make requisition to the library, and the library will find out where that book will be available, either in South Africa or outside South Africa. So if the book is still under restriction because of piracy, application to bring in the book on loan from another library, I felt dignified being a researcher. And you also know one good thing I also experienced was that I could be rounded off. In 2008, I could be writing an article, and by September, October, there will be books on display in my library. Books with publication date of 2000. I was in 2007, in November 2004, and I could reference a book that is already April 2024. I could reference a book that is already 2025. You know, that is to tell you the currency of thought in Nigeria, where we are still talking about how dog gave back to a goat. You are still citing 1960, whereas somebody is talking to 2024. But like I said, things are now better because of liberalized space. I want to try and run with some speed. Poor electricity supply. As I'm still talking to you, I have a university where electricity have access electricity through generator just 2 hours out of 24 hours. No, out of 12 hours in the day. In the night, maybe another 2 hours. Who does that? And you want to tell me that research will take place, education will be assured? No, these are some of the issues. Lack of or epileptic internet connectivity I've mentioned. Transfer of students and peer influence. That is a big problem. I'll be teaching for, this is my 26th year. Bank only mentioned that. Truancy is also very high. And however, if you are not deliberately serious, you could also get contaminated by bad influence and peer influence. Poor administration of rumors and funds. I wouldn't dwell on that. We know how vice chancellors are harassed by EFCC, ICPC. Quackery of staffing and poor service delivery. That we now have quacks as teachers. People who were badly trained, who have now been brought in by reason of political consideration to teach or to do administrative work. Proportionate lecturer-student ratio. There is, this anomaly, whereas a teacher should be teaching 20 students, a teacher will be teaching 100 students. So where is effectiveness? Cultism and different forms of harassment. You know some of these things. Prospects of Nigerian education as against foreign. Where I've mentioned some of these things we know. But what are some of those things we should know? Exposure to basic rudimentary capacity enhancement in knowledge. It is not all negative. At least that I can assure you, people who are migrating overseas still had basic education, in fact, very rigorous education in Nigeria. It's part of our shortcomings. Nigerians are very diligent and very, very rugged, naturally speaking, if they want to. Notwithstanding these challenges, they still want to break even and break forth. Cheap fee regime in public institutions, let me tell you, that is the truth. ASU has been asking that the fee regime in public universities should be low, so that the children of the poor will not be denied access to education. But the political class keep telling us that there is no way that university education will be cheap. I had the privilege of also getting involved in ASU government, negotiation at the national. And ASU came up with different sources, different loopholes that government could block and harvest such money to fund education, but they would tell you, no, don't go there, because the political class are not always ready to moderate their luxurious lifestyle. Emotional stability offered by familiar space and people. Yes. When you are studying in Nigeria, let me be very frank with you. Emotionally, you are secured. Even when you know that there is a possibility of being kidnapped, you know the people you are related to. Most people in your institutions are people that are very close to you, unless you want to move across the Niger, for instance. I mean, such experience will be different if you are studying overseas. From my own experience, studying in South Africa, there were people from all over the world. I had a friend from, what is the name of this? Was a Barian, there was this small country. He came and was just wondering that there were British people, there were British students that were British. I'm not talking of South African with British link, because we had different types of South Africa. We have Indian South Africans, we have Dutch South Africans. I'm talking of people who came in. So, and that is you finding yourself in an international community. So if you are not prepared for this, there are certain tendencies that will happen. And one of it that I also signposted is maybe the issue of inferiority complex. If you do not know your onions, you can get lost. Prospect of foreign education, I'll move to that very quickly. The need to interrogate the idea of foreigners. I want to mention the need for us to interrogate the idea of foreigners. The news broke again, towards the end of last year, about this idea of degree mills, when Nigerians will go to Benin Republic, to Ghana, and they could acquire certificates. So that is why I want us to interrogate the idea of foreigners. So I believe our participants should know that what this community is talking about are outside such possibilities, those negative possibilities, the idea of degree mills. So I know that is why I'm also identifying with this platform. Practical curriculum driven with the industry in mind, problem-solving commitment. Funding education, and I hope the educational managers will refocus this. For instance, I'll be championing now the idea of applied education in Nigeria. And I hope I can talk to people in government that we must begin to refocus our education to be applied in nature, we should forget this abstraction, this idea of having to just acquire certificate just because we need it. But what problems are you able to solve? We talk about stable calendar, adequate funding, infrastructure, library, laboratories. I've explained to you some of the good things. I remember my pharmacist friend, who was also at the University of Witwatersrand, South Africa, running his practicals. I know animals that were purchased for him. In fact, there was a machine that was procured for a friend that by the time we converted it, it will run to millions of naira just because a PhD student needed that machine. But it is also interesting for me to say this, that the South African government will pay universities for every PhD that is produced. So it is very easy for the university to stabilize. And let me also say this, even as a postgraduate student, you will be sponsored to attend conferences. I mentioned my visiting Barry. I was sponsored. I was in Barry, Canada, to attend what they call the Terror Conference, where I presented a paper. I was at the University of Aberdeen, United Kingdom, sponsored by my university. I also had the opportunity of making a day trip to Kenya, but it was an organization that sponsored that. As a PhD student, because I was an international student, I had that experience, I was able to attend close to 15 international conferences. But back home in Nigeria, you have to prostrate for somebody to approve an international conference for you. These possibilities. Possibility of global reputation of institution. You can easily secure the affiliation with reputable institutions because of the reputation of a university. For lack of time, I would have loved to tell you about VETS. We call it VETS, University of Witwatersrand. It gives you an edge. If you attend that university, you are separated from a pack. You know, challenges of standard foreign education, high cost, fee payable by foreign students, and other associated expenses are always very high, particularly in a depressed economy like that of Nigeria. That is the reality. Like I told you my story. If not for the bursary, the scholarship I was able to pick up, life would have been pretty difficult. Because having to change naira to rand then, even now, or to dollar or pound is killing. Okay? Emotional destruction elicited by familiar environment. Relating with people with queer orientation and socialization. I wouldn't want to discuss this further. We live with realities, the new normal. Some of the things we are still pretending about in Nigeria. You will be shocked by the time you get there. You know, there are some of these realities you just have to live with. And you'll be wondering, what is this? But that is just the reality. So you must be emotionally prepared for some of these disruptive, tendencies. I talked about the emotional disruption. You can imagine being in South Africa, I had a wife and 2 kids back home. Let me confess to you, there were moments I cried, even though I was speaking with members of my family every day. Things were not like this. I mean, the idea of having a cell phone wasn't, I mean, now things are pretty better. You can even make video call. Then what I did was to say, look, I made money available and I must speak with you guys every day. I remember one Easter, we had Easter break. I couldn't come home. And that was my first year because later I had to ensure I was coming home twice a year just because of the need for me to maintain the bond with my family. After going out, there is this popular into my room, I was alone. I started crying. And every time I saw a little boy, that would give me an idea of the figure of my son. Okay, so those are some of the emotional things you must be prepared for. However bad Nigeria is, let me shock you. The moment you step out of Nigeria, you begin to feel nostalgic. But you can cure that with time. I talked about the inferiority complex. I want to be as brief as I can because I have other issues to also struggle with. No. Yes. Yes, I've mentioned that. Let me go to the next slide. What to focus on under the two possibilities. There is a need for focused determination to make the best out of every situation. I think that is very important. In Nigeria, yes, get the best. With every source of modesty, I had my first degree in the Den Odo State University, where it's now called Ekiti State University. Things were very rough, but I made up my mind to get the best. And by His grace, I was the best graduating student. I was at UI with the shortcomings. I made up my mind to be one of the best. I made a PhD grade. So that is to say, you can proceed to a PhD. So learn to always make the best. And when I got to South Africa, I learned there were stories, people who have been on their PhD for 5, 6 years. And I said to myself, look, Busui, you must do yours with a difference. And I spoke to God, and I then set him to put in very good effort. And like I said, I was to do it in 3 years, but my supervisor insisted I must stay at 3 extra months because he insisted a professional proofreader must read my work, just to hold me back. So you must be prepared. Constant personal interrogation and reflection. For necessary emotional stability, I mentioned that. You must be prepared to take calculative risk. You see, life is a risk. But I'm not saying you should be foolish. I'm not saying you should dash to every opportunity so that you get scammed. No. When my friend told me, come, I could have given several reasons, particularly having to leave my wife and kids. But I took that risk. Even at a point, I told my wife, look, I've gathered enough material. Can't I return to UI to come and finish up my PhD that my supervisor will even be happy to? My wife said, look, don't come back to Nigeria without a PhD. So learn to take a risk. Avoid distractions on this. Be prepared to invest in education. Education is not cheap. Okay? It is a source of value addition. And somebody saw me when I returned to Nigeria, and he said he saw my CV, and he said, you are the one with international meal ticket. He was talking about a PhD, a foreign PhD. I just laughed. I said that would give him money automatically. It will overseas, but he may not here. Don't seek foreign education as just a means to japa. And unfortunately, that is what most Nigerians are doing. I'm not saying you shouldn't emigrate, but let's not the essence of you moving out, of you seeking foreign education. Don't let it be driven by your desperation to move out. I know people who are doing very well. Education, I can even be in Nigeria if I have access to certain funding. I am have my program funded in dollars, in pounds sterling. So education, if you have a commitment to it, please go for it as creatively as possible and as sincerely as possible. My interventions, the worst of education locally can produce the best in someone. Just like the best of foreign education can mark the entirety of what one stands for. No good or bad education, after all. Please note that. It doesn't matter the opportunities one could cause those opportunities to mar one's life. However bad an opportunity is, you can make the best out of it. Desperation will only bring about frustration. There are good opportunities everywhere, only if you can locate them through some good pointers or exercise of personal discretion. I told you the story of Chinayo Alaoluwa, who was the compass that showed me. And when he was leading me, I was not recalcitrant. Just like BO is also trying to lead people. Do you know that there are people who still say, what are they talking about? Are you sure these ones are not how to scam me? Are you sure? I mean, if it is this easy, why are they not helping their family members? Why are they making all this noise? And that is one terrible thing about us Nigerians. I'm not saying you should trust everybody, but every scam cannot always scam others, and not all opportunities are scam. Seek appropriate mentoring in choosing specific direction. And I think that is what BO is doing. Sacrificial commitment will help blow artificial conundrum. and produce wonderful results. No doubt about that. And I wish you could allow BO to also guide you, mentor you, show you opportunities, guide you on how, what to do with opportunities so that you can convert your information to opportunities and your opportunities to personal enhancement, which will allow you to effectively, productively, and advantageously contribute to global engagement, which will produce not just a better you, but a better humanity. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. I was still lost with my Jordans. Still very much consumed with jottings and thinking. And memories just playing back. I remember when anytime I'm under Professor Mekusi's talks like this, it just leaves me thinking. I don't know what's what you picked from it. I just think, just keep thinking and just keep thinking about it provokes different shapes and lines of thoughts. Now, I don't know what you personally have heard and you've picked from what Prof has said and the brilliant conclusions, the personal submissions he presented to us. Yeah. We're going to be taking questions from people. One of the things I personally tell people, which Prof made clear, as emphatically as possible, don't seek foreign education as a means to japa. Nobody is saying you should not travel, actually. Nobody is saying foreign education is an extension of colonization. Nobody is saying that. Nobody is also saying that Nigerian education is bullshit altogether. No. And Prof said something very, very profound again. Say, not every scam will scam others, and not every opportunity is a scam. No. I was still thinking about that when suddenly I said he's already done with this presentation. I was still thinking about that, very deep. Not every scam will scam others, and not every opportunity is a scam. And some people think the Nigerian education, in fact, some people have the idea that education is scam. People say these things, that education is scam. Now, this is a matter of perspective. They see education from a point of scam. Now, that scam they are talking about is not scam to someone else. Now, education, that same education which some people term as scam, is also an opportunity for someone. Now, from the same raw material, different societies will produce different things. From the same raw material, from the same educational system, Nigeria is producing different products. Now, you would want to think maybe Prof had maybe he had his first degree and his master's degree somewhere abroad. No. He had these things back in Nigeria. And, I really like what he said. If you know what you are doing, the Nigerian education will give you a very good, a very good leverage, a very good background, like a kind of solid foundation that when you now move to another level of education, for instance, abroad, it's more or less like you have all the facilities that were weighing you down back home that you couldn't do that much as you would want. Now you have them. Look at internet facility, for instance. A lot of students can't really be that productive because power supply is really epileptic. So, and it is difficult to be a very diligent researcher in such situations. Now, as a PhD candidate, for instance, abroad, when everything is, there is internet, there is food, there is no power interruption. Now, it helps you to become much more effective and productive. But back in Nigeria, when you were struggling with power supply, those things were making a leader out of you. You were thinking of it was making a problem-solving ability out of you. It wasn't scam. It wasn't scam. You were thinking, okay, how can I solve this problem? You need to submit a paper in 2 weeks. But the transformer in your street is completely down and you have no idea when it's going to be fixed. You have no idea. So how are you going to navigate that road? So you think. So it makes a problem, it builds that problem-solving ability in you. So it's not scam. Now, when you travel abroad, when you don't have to think, there's this kind of I think it was I was discussing with someone just recently that as far as Nigeria and the Western world is concerned, there are just obvious gaps that we can't deny. I mean, we just cannot deny these gaps. Sincerely, we can't deny them. That's why personally, I don't like Prof said too. Nobody is saying anybody should not travel, but I personally don't just like the idea of this jackpot. You are running away from this idea of running away, from Nigeria. An elephant in Nigeria, or let's say a lizard in Nigeria, cannot travel abroad and then suddenly become a lion. No, it doesn't. So you can't say you are running away from the reality of whom you are in Nigeria, thinking that you become another thing overnight abroad. No, it doesn't. So that's why we are, Prof did very, a very good job putting these two together and then pushing his own submission. This is my submission. So for those who are currently studying in Nigeria, so now you see, so it's not giving your best. Do all you can. For those who want to study abroad, if you have some notions about studying abroad before, and there are a lot of fallacies about studying abroad. I think last year, I think around November, maybe October, November, we had about 1 or 2 sessions about talking about truths and fallacies about studying abroad. Well, we still continue that series. We still have another speaker in Portugal. We have another speaker in Portugal that will be coming to do justice to that topic further. We had speakers from Canada and I think one other country last year. So we still have one more speaker coming to do justice to that. I mean, it's just about having the correct mindset about yourself and at the same time about what you want to do. So don't think the Nigerian educational system does not have any contribution to your growth and your person. It's a leverage. So if you want to study in Nigeria, really, you can definitely start your first degree in Nigeria. And for those peradventure who want to study abroad and they have not been able to do so, and they keep wasting time while they are waiting. Some people have been on this journey of I want to study abroad. 5 years, they are still on it. They said, no, I won't do my bachelor's in Nigeria. I will do it in Canada. Yet, for 4 or 5 years, they are still processing Canada. I don't know. These things will help someone. I believe so. This thing we are recording this. Even beyond this audience, I'm pretty much sure that this will help different people at different times. This is being recorded. So how do you see where do you belong? If you are a parent, what kind of truths and fallacies are existing in the minds of your children about these things, about the Nigerian education? Oh, it's scam. I don't want to. And they don't. And you know, some people don't really care. They don't give in their best because they believe that anything goes in Nigeria. No. So it depends on what you see, and it depends on what you want to achieve. You know, I normally tell myself, I had my first degree in Nigeria too. And it was something I deliberately decided to do. The money that I should use to feed myself, I will divert this fund into making research, buying books, surfing the net, you know, loading myself with stuffs and all that. While different other people would just cruise around and coast along. But at the end, when we were about writing our final year project, the difference was so clear. The difference was clear. Who was coasting along all along? Now, by the time you travel abroad and then you are exposed to these opportunities, in fact, at that period, when you are going through all those things, it's developing a kind of leadership mindset in you that will be a major thing for you when you want to apply for scholarship to now study abroad. Because part of what you need to put in your application when you're applying for scholarship is you must prove to the scholarship board that you have at least a certain leadership skill or experience. So it helps you. There are different things that you have done, different problems that you have navigated and solved on your own. All these things, you put them together in your story, narrate your story. So I also believe this will help someone. You want to apply for a scholarship. All these difficulties you have been through through the Nigerian, you put them together, and now you're able to navigate and solve these problems. That's why we're talking about the prospects, the problems, and also the solutions. So I'm really quite happy about how Prof did justice to these things tonight. Thank you very much, sir. I personally learned a lot. I just continued to think. And Prof said something, how did his PhD in South Africa, and then he had 15 international conferences. You can imagine that, 15. If it was to be in Nigeria, I'm sure if in fact, your PhD supervisor himself is trying to lobby to get a space. So what do you think will become of you as the student, as the PhD candidate under the supervisor? And even some supervisors that have these things, some of them are not kind enough to release some. So, different things, but, how they, in the western part of the world, the story is just completely different. You can imagine that 15 international conferences. That's a lot. I was having a conversation with a PhD, with a PhD holder. She's a lecturer in one of the universities in the Netherlands, late last year. She had a PhD in Oxford. And then she was telling me how much it takes to attend one conference that the university is sponsoring her. If you personally want to go on a conference, if you want to sponsor yourself to go on a conference, I'm not sure you can do more than 2 in a year, because it is financially consuming. Now, you can imagine 15. So that gives you an idea of what we are talking about. A lot of resources went into that. 15 conferences. It's no joke. It's a lot. So when we are talking about the Nigerian educational system, don't give in to the fallacies and the lies people paint about the Nigerian educational system is not a scam. And at the same time, there are challenges, no doubt about that. But the gospel is, when you have the opportunity to now take it further and study abroad, do not hesitate. And while you are doing that, don't do that with the mindset that is not actually correct. The mindset that is not correct is the Japa mindset. Don't. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much. I've just opened a lot of things up in my mind, and I just kept thinking about different things. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very, very much. We're going to be welcoming some people to ask questions. If you have questions, please if you want to talk, you can maybe just raise your hand, or if you can't talk, you can drop it in the chat, in the chat room. If you have questions, any kind of question about what has been said, or even maybe something different from what has been said tonight, any area, any question you have, you can raise it. Okay, if you have any question like that, if you want to talk, you can raise your hand, or if you can't talk, you can drop it in the chat. Okay. Now, and personally, I have a question for Prof. So if you have your question, so you can start thinking about that now, and start thinking about that. If you have not started, think about it. This is the time for you to ask. Even for those who are studying in Nigeria, you have a figure who understands what it is as far as the Nigerian educational system is concerned. You can ask your questions. Okay, so I personally want to ask, sir, it's always because I also remembered you said something about the Nigerian educational system being refocused to become applied. So I took note of that, being refocused to become applied, because majority of what we do in Nigeria are just theory based, and no society will become productive when the educational system is not applied. And we have these things a lot abroad. That's why most of them are producing nations. We call them producing nations. They are producing because they are applying what they are learning in school. Yeah. So what are some of the things that an individual can focus on, even within the failing system in Nigeria? If the general system, in quotes, is not being refocused to become applied, how can an individual on his own make his own personal education refocused to applied? So that is one. Then two, someone who studies abroad or who plans to study abroad, what would be your counsel for the person? Because it is also believed that their own system of education is already applied. And that's why they produce things. So in the midst of that system also, it is possible for someone to be lost. Like you said also, losing identity because of multiplicity of nationalities. So how can that individual in that society also maintain a balance, take advantage of the already refocused education to applied, and come out best, maybe later also come back to Nigeria, or whichever way, give back to Nigeria as far as the educational system is concerned?
Thank you very much, Bankole. It's my pleasure to be here once again. The first question is, what can individuals do and focus on within the failing system? Yes, I highlighted some of these things in my presentation. The first thing is to be deliberate. I wasn't going to be going to the details of what my experience was as an undergraduate, but maybe I should mention some of this. I was privileged to have been sponsored by somebody who was not my father, but who made every opportunity available to me. And I then resolved with myself to say, look, this is somebody who is trying to add value to me, and I must justify this decision is taken. Can you imagine if somebody is taking a decision to enhance you? And I have a problem with this generation, because you see their parents, developing interest in enhancing them, and they are so casual about it. Okay. Two, the system then was so warped, so difficult, negatively structured that I was living off campus. To get to campus every day was big war. There are times we had to trek some kilometers. You can't imagine. Somebody is going to study. At the time, the road was bad, that you had to put on, about 3 layers of clothes, so that by the time you get to school, you remove the top layers for you to look like a human being. Can you imagine that somebody will be going to school under that circumstance? But do you know, I said to myself, look, I'm here for this reason, and I must put in my best. I had a friend who was very bright. When we got to 200 level, he told me, look, it appears you are too serious for my liking. He changed friendship. He began to move with some guys that had a vehicle on campus. But he would always boast, they have said that people had not made 2-1 in this department the last 2 sessions, but he will make one. I will just be doing my own quietly, diligently, putting in my best. But do you know my friend struggled to make a second class lower? But I did not make a first class, but by the grace of God and by my diligence, I made a strong second class upper, and I emerged as the best graduate student. And naturally, that should have earned me a teaching job, because as a graduate, but I wasn't ready. I felt that was not what I wanted for my life. Incidentally, to shock you, I wanted something different, something that would give me money immediately. But it was this same man who sponsored my education that he insisted that I belonged to the classroom. I didn't like it. But today, I think I'm very grateful to him for insisting that I should go there, because I cannot imagine if I'm in somewhere where I'm making money, but there is no self-actualization. I cannot stand up for what is true, what is right, particularly in the decadent society like ours. Today, I can speak to anybody, not minding whether you like it or not. Okay, I write, that is why I reflect, I write what I like, and I go to bed. I do not suffer any sense of contradiction. I'm saying this with every sense of modesty, because everything is no money for me. There is also the place of self-fulfillment or self-actualization. So one has to be focused. I've said it, I cannot overemphasize this. You must also convert your challenges to strength. Every disadvantage is telling you something, and there is an advantage in every disadvantage. Look for it. And also remember that your present situation is connected to the future ahead of you. And whatever you make of your present will say a lot about your future. Number 4, choose your friends or partners carefully. I told you I chose Shenayo Laulua, who wasn't doing very well, physically speaking. He was not one of the big guys on campus. I chose him because he was lowly in spirit. He was focused and deliberate about his academics. I did not imagine, I could not have imagined that he would be there to show me the way. If I had moved with those guys that would carry their shoulders up, if I went, one of them got to know that I was already teaching, they were shocked. And yet you will be moving so quietly that you were already teaching. If one of them was teaching in the Polytechnic, he will carry himself like he will brag to everybody. So the day he got to know, somebody told him that, do you know Busui is a graduate assistant somewhere? And he came to me, he asked me, because I would not lie. And I told him he was shocked, and yet you are, and he said, and yet you are behaving as if you are still looking for admission. I just smiled. Choose your friends very carefully, because partnering is also very central to personal enhancement and personal actualization. Do not look down on anybody. Life is a choice. The choices you make will either make you or mar you. And within this system, everybody may be saying that things are bad. I've told you, in the midst of that unfortunate realities, you can change your own story. The second one, what should be my advice to someone going to a system that is applied? Let me tell you, anybody that is not adding value has no reason to leave. Unfortunately, that is the problem with us as a nation. That is why things are not working. But you may be asking that, what is he saying? Is he not a professor of African literature? How is he applying? Yes, I can tell you I'm applying myself. One of it is what I'm doing. Bankole also told you that I'm a columnist. I've written close to about 162 articles. I mean, I'm not talking of academic articles, column articles with which I question realities. I disrupt thinking, think opinions, and motivate individuals to act in certain direction. I'm a biographer. If you want to write you need to tell your story. I will help you tell it the way artificial intelligence will not tell it. Artificial intelligence may be popular tomorrow, but it won't take somebody like me out of business because I use my words in a very unique manner. I lace my words with local content. I use proverbs. I use wise saying. Artificial intelligence will only tell you what is available, will only aggregate what is available, in talking you Western orientation and socialization. But I can tell you this. By God's grace, I've just been appointed as the university orator in my university. And this did not just happen. It happened because of certain realities. I wish I could also share the paper I presented on education and applied education. That is the way to go. I'm also thinking that I will have the opportunity of speaking to people in power someday, so that let us begin to apply what we learn. We've had enough of learning for certificate. Certification without education will only cause a nation to end up with peril.
Wow, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, sir. I just keep thinking. I just keep thinking. Every advantage is telling you, every disadvantage is telling you something. Convert your challenges to strength. Every disadvantage is telling you, is preaching a message to you. Convert your weakness to strength. I'm extremely happy we have this on record on our YouTube page, because we have this recorded live on YouTube. And I want to encourage everyone to revisit the recording and settle down to watch again. Settle down to watch. I personally am going to do that. Settle down to watch and digest. You know, if I would say, now, the 15 international conferences Prof attended, do you think what he went to listen to in those conferences are superior to what you have heard tonight? Think about it. Think about it. It was sponsored, not free. Take note. So what it means is, if you were to attend a conference like this, you will have been paying to attend, just to come and listen to this same thing. Just think about that. Now, if we put this training together now and say we are holding this training in Geneva, Switzerland, and Prof is coming as a guest speaker, then we put up the application link, everybody apply, and then you pay 1,500 USD just to come and listen. Think about it. I want to create some conflicts in our thinking system tonight. So because it helps us to appreciate value. This is one of the challenges we have in Nigeria too, where we don't actually appreciate value as much as we should. So the fact that something is free does not water down the weight and the worth. So that's why personally, I know I am very much grateful. And as a community, we are grateful for these things coming for free. I don't know what you have heard, what you have listened to, but there are opportunities that have been opened up tonight. And I want to believe that you have picked a couple of things from this training tonight. I personally have picked a lot. And thank you very much, Prof, for that. The training particularly hits me on different angles that I had to keep them to myself. Say these, I have to digest them personally. That this one is yes, this one is for me. It has become part of me as a person. Thank you very much, sir. I don't know if anyone has a question before we move to the next session, and then Prof is going to be giving his final charge. And after that, the beneficiary of the scholarship is going to be coming up. I hope she's still online. Can you check up on her, please? So I hope she's still online. So Prof will give his final charge, and after that, we have the presentation of the certificate and also the sponsorship for those who joined later after all these things have been talked about. So we'll quickly revisit them, and then we talk about the sponsorships. So I'll share my screen now for us to have the final charge from Prof as we continue. Okay. So final charge, Prof.
Thank you once again. Let me just try to say that once again. I appreciate what EO is doing. Just like what a bank does, you could put your money. Financial institution, you could withdraw your money. You could open an account that will become invalid by reason of abandonment. But if you run your account very well, there are consequences for it. And if your account goes dormant, there are also implications for it. I've also said it that if BO is helping to create opportunities, please do not disdain these opportunities. You may say there are opportunities everywhere, no doubt about that. I'll be unfair to tell you that opportunities are only limited to BO. But in this case, there is a community that is helping you to eliminate your worries and anxieties. So why don't you choose to do business with them? They are helping you to limit your risk. When I say do business, don't mind me, please. I'm being metaphorical. I'm a professor of literature. So it's very important for me to if I'm talking of doing business, I'm talking of you engaging with them. Don't say, look, now he's trying to dupe me. No. Maybe I should also say this about Bankole. He talked about spending money on research. I don't know why he wasn't ready to tell you what he did with his project and how he decided to do something that was strange. And when others were looking for how to copy some long essays, I won't let the cat out of the bag. He decided to hide it somewhere. But I like the fact that this is a gentleman that, set his goals beyond his ambitions. I have somebody who always quotes Machiavelli, and is now soaring, and is also helping you to follow the same trajectory. Mentoring may appear simple, but your mentors will also determine your limitations. Like he also advised, I have not said anything new or unique, but if you don't mind, go back and look at those things again. I'm very sure they will benefit you. And also know that there are opportunities everywhere that can help you actualize your person and bring to bear what your existence is all about. Your limitations could be broken by reason of the information that is available to you. And the height you are seeking, you could receive a boost, if not a leap, as you get an edge by reason of what you do with your information. Once again, I want to thank everybody, members of the community, and people that will be privileged to interact with this document. Nice to be here once again.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Can we give Prof a round of applause wherever we are? Show Prof that we appreciate what he has done tonight by taking time out to be with us, sharing his experience with us, sharing his time with us, sharing his knowledge, wealth of experience with us. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful for this. Thank you very, very much, sir. Due to the, of course, the Nigerian system as is well as usual, the scholarship beneficiary is unable to come up again due to flat battery. Due to flat battery. So we're going to be doing the presentation anyway of the certificates. Oh, okay, she's online now. Oh, okay. So I'm told that she's online again. Oh, glory to God. So Prof will be doing the presentation of the certificates to the beneficiary of this scholarship. So, okay, so where is she? Okay, I've not seen her. I've not seen her online. Where is she? Mr. Ashegun.
She's not online.
She's not online. Maybe the battery or network dropped her again. Okay, so whichever way. So just to save our time, so Prof is going to be presenting the certificates even in her absence, but of course she's received it already. This is just like an official recognition, kind of. So over to you.
I'd like to congratulate Olorundari Bolanle for the award for final year tuition and rent. It is often said that it is not just enough for somebody to start a process, but there is more that one should finish it. So one could start a journey and the journey could get abruptly distorted or dislocated. And I want to congratulate you, as I also appreciate BO for awarding you under the Landmark Rescue Fund to rescue you from this vicissitude that could have also disoriented your journey in life. And I wish you all the best. And I hope that you make the best use of this award and you also endeavor to give back to the society later in life. Once again, congratulations and thank you, BO, for the LRF award for Olorundari Bolanle.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for that, Prof. Thank you very much, sir. We are really grateful for your time, for everything. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate this. Thank you very much, sir. So we So I learned she got locked out because of network again. So thank you, sir. Just for the sake of those who were not here when we talked about some of these sponsorships, because that will be the next thing, but we just quickly go over them. So I will take the slides several steps back. Okay, so earlier we talked about the projects that we currently run in the organization. So these 5 projects. So these are some of the ways in which we also give back to society, and um, we don't. Okay, is someone raising hand? Okay, I thought someone was raising his hand. So these are some of the projects through which we give back to the society, and then just like the description of each of these projects. So if and definitely we are starting from the members of the community. So the members of the community are always at a great advantage on each of these projects. So if anyone applies to you, or I mean, as a member of the community, but others can apply, definitely it's general. I mean, everybody can apply. So, but specifically, we'll consider members of the community, registered members of the community. So that's about that. And we have these sponsorships coming out also for the 2024 edition of the West African Senior School Certificate Exam and UTME. So individuals who fall in that group can also put in the application. And also we have the learn a tech skill. So individuals who fall in this group and also meet the requirements can put in the application. So the reason we are going to be favoring registered members of the community is because we also want to use that as a means of appreciating them for believing in the vision right from the beginning. Not everyone will believe in your vision when you're starting out. Most times people want to join you when you have results, not when you are still struggling to find your feet and express your vision and passion. But these individuals have been there from the beginning, just because we said we are doing this, and then they went all the way with us, and they are still going all the way with us. So as a means of also appreciating such individuals who fall in this group and who are in need, indeed. So I want to use this as a means of giving back to them also. So anyone who falls in this group can put in an application in that regard. And sometime very soon also, we're going to be having Business Empowerment Fund, sometime very soon. So individuals who fall in that group can start thinking about or the possibility of putting an application. BEF is right here. BEF is Business Empowerment Fund. So you can just look at the description of what we have in mind for BEF. So individuals who fall in that group can start thinking about this. So it's not for an existing business. It's not to go and expand any business. It's for a new business, scalable business, what you think you can do tangibly and can set you off on your feet. So it's not opened yet, but we are just making the announcement because you are here tonight. It's also part of the advantage of being part of this training tonight. So you have the advanced information and you can start looking in that direction if that meets your needs. Okay. So we'll move quickly. So we've talked about the award and also the sponsorships have been talked about. Now we move to the next part of this. Okay, so to take us on this lane, Mr. Oluwasegun Awodele will be doing this. So you are welcome, Mr. Oluwasegun.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Bankole. What a awesome night. I'm sure you have gained a lot tonight. I personally I learned so much. So our membership application is ongoing and it is free. Mr. Bankole talked about it the other time. If anyone comes to you in the name of BOO to seek for a dime, it is not BOO. So currently our membership application is ongoing and you can apply for free. Also, volunteers are also needed. If you are skilled in graphic design and also video editing, you can also apply as a volunteer. We review your application. If you are fit, then we'll bring you in. So the link will be posted soon. So if you are interested, of course, you may know somebody that knows someone, that can that are skilled in this in graphic design or video editing. So you can share the opportunity with them and then bring them in. So we are also on Facebook. You can connect with us on Facebook, on Twitter, that is X now. You can connect with us on Instagram. You can join our community on Telegram and WhatsApp, where we share numerous opportunities. Mr. Bankole mentioned in the beginning that this life owes every one of us is opportunity. And when you key into that opportunity, you will always be ahead. As a mass communication student, we have a slogan that goes, information is power. And just like our prof said tonight, at BOO, we help you convert information, to your own opportunity. So follow us, join us, and then you will get the best. Of course, we offer opportunities on scholarships and then employment opportunities also, both local and international. So you can always see this on all our platforms. Make sure you are following us and share it with your friends and every other members out there. So that's about that. So moving on tonight, I'll be welcoming Mr. Bankole to lead us on. Again, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Oluwasegun. Thank you for that. So you can connect with us on any of the media platforms, and you can join us on WhatsApp and Telegram for daily updates. So we post scholarship updates every single day. Scholarship updates, not just for study, so that you won't think it's just study. It's not just for study. We have scholarship opportunities, funding for different purposes, to attend conferences. Some of the conferences Prof talked about, we have these things at our disposal and we share with people daily on our platform. So scholarships to attend conferences, to attend webinars, to attend seminars rather, to attend summits, fellowships in different parts of the world, and even some opportunities that can get you like a kind of internship outside, out of Nigeria, like internship opportunity, which eventually can become like a job, secured job for you. So we have all these opportunities in different parts of the world that we share with people every single day on our platform. So you might want to check that out on WhatsApp and Telegram. We share that every day. It's also on our media pages, like Mr. Shegun said. So we'll be welcoming Ms. Adirunke to take the next session, which is the vote of thanks. So you're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, sir. It's been a wonderful time. It's really been a wonderful time getting to hear those depths of what. Okay.
Sorry, a minute. I think Olorundare is online now. Are you online now?
Yeah, I think she is.
Okay, so can you unmute yourself and just say one thing? I hope she's able to do that. Okay, so maybe when you are ready, you can let us know. Okay, so you can continue, please.
All right, thank you, sir. So as I was saying, it's really been okay. She has dropped a message. All right. As I was saying, it's been a wonderful time. Get to hear the depth of knowledge from Professor Busi Mekusi. Thank you very much for your precious time, for spending this whole time with us. Thank you so much, sir. So as I said earlier at the beginning of this meeting, I said that I was going to be calling someone out of the participants to give a vote of thanks. And going through my list now, I would like to call on okay, I can see Olubukola here. Can we have you, ma? A short vote of thanks from you, ma. Okay. Because of time, I'll have to call someone else. All right. Okay. I don't want to call Abimbola. Okay. TY. All right. Okay. All right, ma. TY, can we have you? Oh, it seems everyone is not. Okay, the host is not giving me permission. All right. Okay. I think you need to give Miss Oluwabukola permission to mute.
It has been done now. Now she can.
All right. Okay, let's have you, ma.
All right, thank you so much, Ma. And I'm happy to stand here and give the vote of thanks on behalf of Boo. And I would especially want to appreciate our especially want to appreciate Prof for accepting our invitation and joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing your weight of experience with us, sir. Your thoughts has inspired us all. And indeed, we are grateful to our organizers. Thank you so much once again for giving back to the society. Thank you for all that you do. All right, thank you so much, Ma. Over to you, Ma.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Bankole.
Okay. Yes. We don't know if Olondari is ready now. Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. All right. So good evening. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the help you give to me. Thank you very much. God bless you. I really do appreciate.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. And we are so happy also to have been able to help. And we also wish that someday you also will be able to do the same for others. That's our goal, that you will also be able to do the same for others. That's our goal, that God will bless you so well that you'll be able to do the same for others, many more people. Thank you also very much. Thank you for that. Okay. So we'll be rounding off now, and the next event is going to be announced. So you can keep an eye on our platforms. We announce when the next event is going to be holding. And also we'll be having our PDT. PDT is personal development track. So it's we hold like personal development trainings once in a month. And also we have different assessments, different platforms where we do different things we do on a weekly and a daily basis on the platform for individuals who are interested in their own personal development anyway, for free, all for free. So we will let you know when the next event is going to be for personal development track and also for BU as a community, which is going to be in February. So And also, let me quickly say this, that we part of our goals and our plans is to bring to the community different trainings about different areas of life. So not just education alone, but it's just per time we think about what we need to talk about, and then we bring speakers in that particular field. So there are other fields, different things we want to also talk about, bringing different speakers from different parts of the world. So watch out for the different trainings that we'll be bringing you this year, a month in, month out. So watch out for that. And if you can always share your feedbacks with us. If you have feedbacks, you have comments, you have anything you want to discuss with us, you can always do that on any of our platforms with us. We'll be so happy and glad to have that. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this meeting tonight. Thank you very much. Oh yes, so if you want to be a volunteer, so we need like 1 or 2 more volunteers. We already have some volunteers, but we need 1 or 2 more, specifically graphic designers and video editors. So if you're a graphic designer and you want to volunteer, not everybody would want to volunteer, but those who know the weight of volunteering would want to do that as much as they can. So we need people like that. So volunteers for graphic design and also video editing. Okay, so you can send in your application. I believe the application link has been posted, right? The application link has been posted. Okay. Yes. Also for the membership registration. So you can apply for either of these 2 or any of them. So thank you very much once again for being part of this training. We appreciate your presence and your coming. See you again in the next edition of this training next month. And have a lovely night rest. Thank you.